Hi, welcome to the Sense Kaleidoscope podcast, where we're in conversation with Preeti and Ahana, Ayush's family, and Akshay, of course. In today's podcast, we'll be talking about Ayush's journey at Sense Kaleidoscope, a celebrated artist and who's won awards and has had his own shows. Akshay, would you like to start with, talking to Preeti about how Ayush walked into SK and
Yeah, I guess
his
you
journey as
should
an
tell us
artist?
how you found SK.
Yes, I was sitting in one of those schools and I was waiting for Ayush to come out from his day and in the lobby. And I was reading an article in the newspaper, I think it was Times of India, where it mentioned about you and your journey in Scotland and how you're trying out some new stuff in India with kids on the spectrum. And for the first time in my life, I actually went dwell deeper and try to find out your number, etc., and can contact you because I'd never done that. I'd read so many articles and I never really followed up because I was, I think, disgruntled and just not totally disillusioned with the way things were going. And I think that was one of the biggest life changing moments for us. Called you, we connected, you invited us over with Ayush. And this was as late as December 2013. And I remember you.
Just started.
Yeah, and no, you hadn't started. You were
Not
like
even started,
You
yes.
were like, we are thinking of doing something. I will keep you posted. And in Jan, I got a message from you saying, "Hey, we are starting this called Sense Kaleidoscopes, and would you be interested?" And I remember in Jan we came down, and that's how Ayush's journey began with you in 2014. Jakur was
I think the assessment was done by Vahini herself.
Yes,
So
you did.
why
Yes, I
didn't you
think
come in?
Ayush walked in
your
with you at my parents' place in Indranagar. And at that time,
We didn't have a place until then. I think that's why we were doing that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
because I was consulting with Sense Kaleidoscopes when I could come to SK, I would. Otherwise, I would either go to the student's house or invite them to my home environment. My home environment has been autism friendly for over 20 years. With my parents and any person who walks in, including spouse, extended family, all being completely, autism proofed. Whether, a child walks in to wash his own, to eat his meal and wash his own vessels and wipe it and keep it back in the dishwashing tray and all of it. I think the entire household, including the staff at home, is very programmed for the
that's true.
thing. So, I think that's why. I mean, I think for convenience also, I think Preeti was much closer at that time, still is. So she walked in with Ayush, and I think at that point he did have some need-based communication, a lot of self-talk. Predominantly, the self-talk was about movies that he used to watch. He used to watch these, super duper hit B-grade Hindi movies with Ranjit at the forefront, and there was a lot of self-talk about that. But I think that was kind of like I saw that behavior kind of, the kind of self-talk would kind of escalate and de-escalate depending on his moods back then. He also was not very happy putting pen to paper.
Oh, yes. Still hates it.
Hated holding anything. And I think I highlighted that in my assessment, saying like, that's not like putting pen to paper. Today, fast forward to today, where he's a celebrated artist, has won awards, has had his own shows. I think lot of credit and all credit to Akshay. All credit to the consistency of the programs that Ayush was exposed to, the entire family support. But more so about, I think we need to spotlight this whole thing as far as his, the whole sensory play that really, really kind of helped him start holding a pen. I think that we started with, corn flour and Akshay, I was quite impressed because back in the day, in at least in India or in Bangalore, sensory play wasn't given that much of attention. So, she experimented this whole corn flour and slime and all kinds of things back in the day where, children would be so averse to even touching something. And we used to, before she walked into my life, we used to say, use this maida, atta, and this and that, and, try all these things. But Thank you, Akshay, for introducing Sensory Play to me. It has been really interesting for me as well. So yeah, maybe Akshay can now talk about Ayush's sensory journey as far as before he started on this artistic journey of his.
If you remember, when we were doing the assessment, you were doing the assessment on the cognition level, the communication space, and also the behavioral space, obviously. But we did not have an SI report on the table.
No, we didn't.
Huh. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think SI work stops with kids in India at the age of 6.
See, there was an SI therapist who was very, very good when I was working, and I think she used to handle children up to the age of 10, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day. She was associated with the SSK back in the day also, as well, which is Spastic Society of Karnataka. But I think the highlight for you was because I said he is not willing to hold the pen.
Correct.
That is the SI red flag in terms of is there a sensory issue here as to why he's not holding the pen, or is it just task avoidance because he's been entrusted, or rather he's been expected to work with pen to paper in a regular mainstream setup / academic setup?
I think from what I understood from Ayush was the second one. So many years going into these different setups, and then that insistence on write in this way, sit for these many hours and probably do this work, created a huge barrier for him. And it's impossible. I mean, look at the fine lines on that piece of work. I don't think somebody who has a severe fine motor control problem, you will agree with this, can do something like that. So when we started, the first thing to do was to go in with play. There was no other.
In fact, Ayush's first assessment, if you read, was that he had fine motor issues.
Severe fine motor.
And I just couldn't believe it, that. And then we see this kind of work, and I just couldn't believe him holding a pen.
I still remember even when she was doing the assessment, you turned around and you were very unsure of if he would take to this at all.
I never thought art.
The art.
Yeah, I never thought he would go to art.
Angle.
I always thought
Yes,
computer.
It was, yes, that's what you were pushing for. You said he's really good on gadgets and so on and so forth. Can you do something with that? Yes. And I remember Ayush's communication impairment that Ahana also touched on in the last episode. We were simply failing at every point when we were trying to intervene and see what was possible. And how will the child express to me whether he likes this or he doesn't like this? So with Ayush, it was really a very unusual journey. When we started, we went play. We did not go like how art colleges work or how art school setup works. We didn't know. He had zero exposure. He had never been to any drawing class, painting class,
Nothing.
pottery, sculpture, nothing. There was zero exposure to art. He had very clear OCDs, however, and I remember some of them were written down in her report. She also put in systems where she said, if you're working with him, you do 15 minutes of that and then you do that. So we were breaking it.
It was very tight also.
Very tight, very tight. And I think we started with shorter hours and then increased to longer hours.
Initially, he was doing half day with you, and then I pulled him out of every other setup and moved in with you full time.
Yes. But I feel what you're looking at today is not where we started.
Yeah.
We started with dots. We started with building patience. There's so much that went in the back end when we were working with him. He had to trust. He had to build that bond. I remember Vaini used to come every week once at that point in time, and we were dealing with Ayush's meltdowns. And I kept on telling her, and this is young adult space we are talking about. It is not like you're picking up a 6-year-old and you can do whatever you want. You can just put them in one corner, put them inside a room, and then say, okay, now this is table task time. You have to do it. No, it does not work like that. So coming every week, going into those sessions, trying to find a way so that he would not give in to those meltdowns. That was, I think, a very large task.
My go-to has always been social stories, and I remember
She hated.
Ayush didn't take very well to it. We had already established at that time, by that time in SK, that, we wanted to do social stories along with writing it out or getting the child to communicate in whatever way he wanted, whether it was art or drawing or rather writing or whatever it was. And he would just detest my sessions. Like the minute, I think her parents would be there waiting to finish that thing, grandmom. I think once in a way your dad also used to come in. But, he'll just be like, the minute he sees me, I think he was already riled up and he's like, oh God, this ogre has come to do this nonsense story. Because I think he understood the social story.
Yes.
Yes. So the fact that, hello, you have to conform. Yeah. This is how you're supposed to be to get a desirable outcome itself was, so all my freedom is gone away. I can't be bratty anymore. This is the reason I have to do it. So he understood that instantly, which was quite amazing. So because he understood it, instantly he was like, he would reject me outright. Like he would reject the whole idea, tear the paper, I don't want to do this. Like the child who's sitting at a table and, doing the dots and lines and whatever it was that they were doing in the art space. Suddenly it's like, I will not even hold a pen. I will just write rubbish on the paper, like, just scribble. And it was crazy, yeah. Back then, like he was just, rejecting it. But the good thing is, while he was rejecting it, he realized that when he wrote, and this is like some miraculous thing that, the minute he would write, right, it would internalize that he has to do it.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't want to write. It's like almost saying, I promise you something, but I've already made a promise to you now, so I can't go back on it. So I don't want to, I'll push it as much as I can to not promise. But if I write it, it would happen. And I think it was also like, I was doing something with Ayush. The same thing was being carried forward by Akshay's team and Akshay and all the environments at home also. You knew exactly what was happening. I think we were all fairly consistent when it came to, his conformities. And what we said, yes is yes and no is no. I keep saying this like with any child, whether neurotypical or otherwise, yes is yes and no is no. Not that mama said no, so I'll go to, Papa and find, I'll go for this party or whatever. Not happening. If mama said no, then what did mama say? She said no, that means no. End of. That's it.
I think that was our first year.
Yes.
Sensory play, art focus. Well done.
Yeah, but by August we had,
we were in a circle.
but Jan to August we had his first
We had
exhibition.
the first exhibition.
All in 8 months.
We did a lot of water play as well.
All of that. I mean, we got one of those bathtubs was installed outside in the balcony in Sense Kaleidoscopes.
I mean, a kiddie pool.
No, it was a proper bathtub.
Oh, you had a bathtub?
Yes.
Oh, I remember the big kiddie pool.
No, that came later.
That was so lowly. And
That was
We had lots of young adults in their underpants jumping in, and I think the neighbors were quite mightily shocked, wondering why all these young adults are all just running around in their undies. Yeah.
It was interesting because I remember once I called Mahini when Preeti was traveling, and of course we were aware. So it's not like we didn't prep Ayush for anything. Like we would tell him, Mama's going to go away, then she's going to come back. She would do the social stories. I would sit with him. It so happened in the social story space, he refused to go with her without me because I would then sit and do the whole tactile thing, give him massage, tell him no, it's okay. So there was that good cop, bad cop thing that we both were working with, and I knew that it was necessary for him to just build that acceptance to what she was going to put on there and say, okay, Mama's not going to be there, you're going to follow this, you're going to follow this, you're going to follow this. Even something as simple as that for Ayush was not easily comprehensible.
yeah.
So we had to break down everything in my head. And still, one day when I'm just walking into the school, I'm looking at Ayush and there's a construction happening and there's a huge heap of sand as we always see, and he's on top of it and he's crying because he's missing his mother. And everybody in the neighborhood is standing and looking. So that was our life at that point in time with Ayush. We were always working. While we were skill building, we were trying to also see what can we do to make him emotionally stronger, resilient, I think. How to break his pattern if the pickup time was 3 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody came at 3:01, then God help us. So we were dealing with a lot of things. But one thing I will tell about his art journey, that boy has shown immense resilience through that journey, where we put him the exercises that we do at SK, it's 293 lessons for just horizontal lines. And then they build 12 assignments based on those lessons. He went through that. So something that has always been very complex for me to understand about Ayush is somebody who can sit on a table, work for hours, do 293 lessons with horizontal lines, then do all of the stuff, but not able to manage on the other areas of things. The exhibition, do you guys want to come in and talk about the exhibition? Because I know that was a very, very, I don't think that was what you
didn't expect.
You didn't expect it. That's what everybody in the family came to me like, okay. And
Are you sure? Like, because it was just all of 8 months. Yeah, I remember Jan 2014 SK started. August 2014 is when we had the exhibition, the first exhibition at the Metro Gallery. We were like, really? Are you serious? You know what you're doing? Are you sure he's ready?
is Ayush, we worked with Ayush at that time because we were worried whether he would sit in the opening of the evening.
Yes.
And we were worried because he doesn't like people. He doesn't like too many people around him. He does not like to make sounds. It's always
Yeah, and it was an unknown, although we took him before and showed him around. But it is still that you never know with him in an unknown space how he would react. But for us, more than that was like, is this really happening? And couldn't believe that there were all these artists were showing, and then obviously he was one of the main artists, and it was just an overwhelming experience. I think we never got over it. It was just that first exhibition was
He had created
Couldn't believe.
48 pieces in those 8 months, which is
and I wanted to buy all of them.
yes, and we had to keep stopping her like, please, like the work has to go out. It is, I mean, we love the work, I understand that, but it was important for the work to go out. I think I want to also fast forward to a couple of other things that we actually managed to do in this journey. When he started doing his work and stuff like that, we decided that we were going to go out and look at what other ways we could spotlight the work. And we looked at the book. Preeti, I think you should come in to talk about the journey of the book, because I think that was a very, very beautiful showcase.
Yeah, so Akshay had actually brought this idea that we should highlight Ayush's life and his journey. And that time, I think it was he was 18 years old. And it had to be a different book. And I collaborated with this company and we created this book, which is very sensory, very sensorial, right from the first page to the last.
We wanted the personality of Ayush.
You know, and it actually highlights. So it has got a lot of color, pullouts, magnets, bookmarks, and puzzles, and it just highlights every facet of Ayush's journey from the time he was diagnosed till he turned 18. And I think that book, whoever has ever picked that up, has always said that, you know, it helps them understand how challenging life can be, but then there's always that rainbow at the end of the thing, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or whatever you want to call it. But there is always hope, and I think that's the biggest thing that kept everyone going, and so far also going on this journey with Ayush. But I think SK really turned it around for him, and that also we talked about. It's not just one person's journey. You need people. How much ever you think that you can do it on your own, it's impossible. And that's how each person is important. And then again, those people play a very important role in building a child's life. We don't realize it, but you can actually make or break someone's life, and especially in the autism spectrum. That's very important that you understand how much you can bring to that child. And I think Akshay knows the way art went with Ayush, and the way Ayush's art opened doors for the rest of the kids. I think it was one of his artworks. I connected with this person on Facebook. I think his child was also on the spectrum, but he was connected to the art world and new people. And I think that's where the whole journey began, where he picked up and then I think connected with Akshay and all the kids
came to the school, looked at all of the pieces. That was I think Ayush's book, and also the fact that Preeti was online, making it very, very visible. We got the opportunity to go to Kochi Banale and showcase the work of not just Ayush, but all of the other artists as well. And this gentleman walks in and then he looks at the works and sends kaleidoscopes, and he was very impressed, and he was like, okay, we have to make space for something like this.
The Kochi Banale had a separate section called the Outsider Art Fair.
That's
what never happened.
Curated and put together. Yes, it happens abroad, but
Not in India.
Happened in India. Specifically, and I think that was a game changer over there. Looking at Ayush's book, the corporate world got interested in the work that we were doing and wanted to enable that ability to do things. We also got selected for the Paris Outsider Art Show
And the New York.
and the New York when the Met, because of the COVID. Yes, it was at that time when we got selected and we got invited, and they said, please do come and show. And that was because one of the curators of the Paris Outsider Art Show was visiting Kochi Binani and looked at the artworks and thought that it was of that value to take it over there. Having said that, I feel one of the strongest reasons why the students in SK or Ayush specifically was able to do this was because we tied everything to their OCDs. While everybody is very worried about allowing children or young adults to engage with their OCDs, we found a way through art to give it a productive pathway. If you see the happiness in his lines, in his work, if you see whatever he was kind of trying to express over there, it is because he was given the freedom to express. And also, let's not forget that art is very therapeutic in its own way. So I think, I wish Ayush was here, of course, being able to express what that process meant to him. And I think we are all fumbling and trying to put words, at least I am, because I'm trying to be very careful about representing his perspective with art, which is always very tricky to do. I find it very, very difficult because I'm always trying to push us back. Yeah. That is why I say, no, bring the OCDs in the front, bring the personality in the front, put that out.
But I think that's where it taught us also the OCD, working with OCDs is what taught us that instead of, where we used to feel, oh, why is food always used as a motivator? Why are we always, putting food? And I used to, in fact, fight it. And she's like, no, let's use it positively. And I think watching the way you transformed his OCDs into art, into this kind of art.
Chicken legs, Zentangles. And I love that piece. He did chicken legs, and the love with which he wouldn't take a break, if you remember.
Sit for hours.
This lunch, it's one, right?
Well, there's always tandoori chicken at the end of every painting. So what's the problem? I mean, as long as you're able to put this stuff out, yeah. And for the viewers, I think he's one person I have always admired more than his art. His art of being able to finish a full tandoori chicken. It will be a piece that you look at and say, this is a chicken, and then the next will have a blank plate and it'll say this was a chicken. So he does a great job of finishing it. But yeah, at the end of the day, if that was a great reinforcer, it was not that it was given for every line he drew, right? Yes. Like we always talk about weaning off reinforcements and rewards and whatever it was. If he finished something, then on Saturdays he had his McDonald's meal or something.
He's allowed junk food on Saturdays.
Yeah, so and his Pepsi and this, and he will ensure that he gets all of it, but he will work through that Saturday and he will work through the week in lieu of waiting or anticipating that Saturday meal or going out or whatever. And when he was distressed, he even came to this stage where, because there were massages being given to him and all that, hit head, hit hand, he'll openly ask for it openly, so he knew when he was distressed. And I think his communication had progressed at least to the extent that he would ask for what he wanted in terms of distress, not just
that's what we learned, to work with
his OCDs. It really helped.
Really, how to regulate it basically in his life, not just do it for everything, and make him work towards it. And I think that has held us in our stead even now. Food is the go-to, but we know how we've learned
the low arousal approach.
Yes,
of course.
That really
has learned to change ourselves, which I think was very, very critical to the journey with Ayush. I think he's more a teacher than a student.
Oh, yes, I always call him my Zen master. All I have learned thanks to him, and because of him, I don't think life would have taught me anything else.
Yes, I think that also set out a very clear pathway for Sense Kaleidoscopes because of dealing with those multiple challenges. Still, we could devise a program. A lot of the programming, the design of the program came because of Ayush. Because we kept on looking at what was working and what wasn't. I still remember there was a time when the lesson design was done and I gave it to him and I said, no, come on, you teach today. And he's actually gone up to the board and there was younger children, right?
Can I share this joke that we have a common joke going among ourselves that whenever you wanted to test a new teacher in the environment, we would unleash Ayush on them. And if Ayush took to them, they were hired. If they weren't, sorry, bye-bye.
I think that's primarily because for him, the need for adults around him to understand him and for him to be able to trust them, which we spoke about in the last episode, is very, very, very true. Yeah. he can't function without that. And I guess that's what we call adapting the environment, isn't it? We are noting.
Sorry to cut you.
No,
You made a really great effort, on that part. And taking back to what we spoke last time, what worked here, what worked very well here, was that you took the effort to educate me also, right? Yes, I had that background. Mom would explain things, and so I would say more educated. But you took the time to actually teach me that, okay, you need to understand what is sensory play. You need to understand what we're doing over here,
Because I was volunteering in SK for a very long time.
which did not happen in school. So in my school, when Ayush would walk in, I would have some of the kids over there just looking at him and wondering, kya ho raha hai? Like, why is he rocking? Why is he talking? And I would, in fact, if anyone said anything about him, I would get into an argument and say, you back off. And I'd get very, I would become a bully. But vis-a-vis an SK, you would take the effort to educate me and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what works for Ayush. This is what works for the other students also, not just my brother. And you took it was a lot of patience that you exercised in teaching me as well.
I think I feel, thank you, but I feel that it's natural, right? You're in a different space. Like we keep talking about autism being wired differently. Now, if it is wired differently, don't you think all of us have to learn how to work differently? I mean, we have an entire RDI set up on something like that, saying that, okay, you need to change. You need to shift internally and externally if you have to allow for the accommodation. And isn't that what we say accommodating autism is about?
So if you want to create a space that is inclusive, that's also very important. It's not happening in the schools. No, when you walk in to a school that is supposed to be inclusive, no one sits you down and says, okay, these are the students that you'd be with. This is what you may see or may not see, and it's fine. Nobody tells you that. You're just thrown into the wild and abhi dekho. But over here, you're actually taught that this is what you may see, and you need to understand it's completely okay. But that's not happening.
Well, I'm guessing that we are going to change that exactly.
That's the like I think that brings me back to that same conversation where you feel the world doesn't understand your child or the world doesn't understand your family, and I think especially Preeti and I have come to the resolution that they need not understand. They don't have to understand, right? It takes us initially it's a lot of anger and sadness, saying like, why can't my child be included? See, we are on this journey, right? Everybody need not, it's difficult unless it's mandated by policy. And that's the reason why I want to bring this here, saying that unless it is mandated to say, why did RTE come into being, which is right to education, right? That everybody has to be included. So until the age of 18, every child has to be allowed in some school or the other. It is not possible for me to reject a child, right? So you have mandated that policy, so that child is going, and there is no way that thing. Until that happened, children were just refused from school. So it's a slow journey, and to expect the world to include us or is a difficult mindset, because it is a change of mindset. That there are different people in this world, and everybody has a place, right? That because it doesn't affect me. I have all the access to everything. It doesn't affect me. So that's where the majority has been, always reigning and will continue to reign. However, until there are more conversations like this, I don't think policy is the only thing right now that can dictate that, yes, you have to include. When it has said you have to include, how you include has not been mandated. So that's the next step. And I think RT is a great thing to at least have us included in this conversation.
Yeah.
But to move to how to like not have a resource room or not like to be in the class. Okay, you can have a shadow teacher in the class explaining the same concept. Okay, and he need not be in grade 8, he might be in grade 3, but at least he's understanding what is happening rather than sit in a grade 8 and then go to a resource room, right? So I think that's an important conversation to have, saying that, I'm not included because the world does not want to include me, and there is no force for the world to include me. So majority will always, unfortunately, end up being what it is. So I think on that note, I think it's important to talk about Ayush the artist, what he has achieved and how far he's come in his various shows. I think, Akshay, can you talk about his last show, the recent one, where he won an award?
So we just sent out an application for a couple of the artists from SK, and I wanted the reach to be, let's say, in a place where there is equity. I understand the space for outsider art. I understand the space that we need to make a niche space. I mean, I've spoken about it all the time. I talk about exclusivity. I say if you're going to have a school, then cater it for kids with autism. You want to have a college, you want to have curriculum, cater it. But I also feel that the work of the students from SK, and especially something like Ayush, is of a different level. So we applied to just any other international exhibition that actually covers artists. And Ayush got selected. His artworks got selected. And there's a virtual exhibition that is going on in which his work is sitting with artists from everywhere.
And who might not be on the spread.
No, they are not. They are not. None of those they are all neurotypical artists who are showcasing in that exhibition. And in the midst of that, Ayush got selected. So I think that says a lot for itself.
Yeah.
One more first.
Another first.
Yes.
With Ayush, there have been many firsts. Lots of firsts, yes.
Yeah, and on that note, I think that we miss Ayush terribly because he's currently tending to his routine. He has prawn curry and rice and chicken that he is more interested in, of course, than sitting at this table and having a conversation. However, when we spoke of, how the world is not as inclusive as we would like it to be, and how mere policy mandates are what is pushing the narrative in terms of helping our children or our adults be included in mainstream society. I think it's also important for us to constantly keep finding a voice, to keep pushing the narrative from time to time. I think this particular space has totally welcomed many students with autism, though it's not an autism school. I'm deeply moved by the fact that we didn't have to force anything. I didn't even have to offer any explanations. And all the people around kind of took to all my students as well as students from SK to this place. So I think that's a start at some level. But having said that, it's important to keep pushing more people out into the world, having these conversations about stories of inclusion, of triumph, and what is triumph at the end of the day if our students / children / partners, siblings, whatever, as long as they're smiling and they're happy, I think we're all happy. Yeah. So that is my one goal and one idea of success. You're calm, you're happy, you're in a good place. That's more than enough.
Calm and happy.
Yeah. So on that note, most of Sense Kaleidoscope, as you know, is an art college and showcases a whole bunch of neurodivergent artists, all of whom are on the spectrum. They have had the success of selling out at the Cochin Biennale, being part of the Outsider show, won UNESCO awards, have their own shows across Bangalore and outside. So do check out their art. Very celebrated artists, and you'll be surprised, and I don't think you'll be able to say that any of the art is less than what a neurotypical will turn out. Do check out their art. And do reach out for any assistance that you require with anybody on the autism spectrum. It's www.sensekaleidoscopes.org. Do follow our podcast on YouTube and on Spotify. Like, share, subscribe. On that note, we'll see you in our next episode.